Remember when I said that driving into the desert had good idea written all over it? Well, now there's a deadly sandstorm. Run! The teams have to be evacuated to the city of Gabez, extending the pit stop to 60 hours in total. Yeesh. Now we begin this leg of the race trying to find a taxi in the dark, empty streets of rural Tunisia.
This is the main street, we're in big trouble.
The teams then travel 200 miles through Tunisia and return to Tunis, where they pick up the next clue at the Palace Hotel after dawn has long since broken. From there, teams are instructed to fly to Rome in the country of Italy. Excellent! Let's head for the airport. Here's where the fun begins. You should know that during Season 1, teams were only allowed to purchase one set of airline tickets and couldn't exchange them or buy anything better. The Guidos rush in first place and quickly get tickets on what seems to be the quickest flight to Rome. These end up being the last tickets on that flight. Now for more bad news. There is an airport strike in Rome, making it almost impossible to get there at all. Kevin and Drew and Nancy and Emily stand by the counter the Guidos are at, trying to get on the flight and not succeeding. The Guidos try speaking secretly in French, but Drew is on to their games.
Better be careful, you don't want your legs broke.
So, about getting to Rome...
Today's the 20th, the next flight to Rome is the 28th.
It almost looks like it's not even going to happen. The Guidos are ecstatic that they might have a multiple-day lead.
I mean, it's just like this little good luck fairy just follows them everywhere they go.
That's when karma decides to turn on its head. Frank and Margarita have a flight to London and then Geneva, while Kevin, Rob, and Nancy all snag seats through Lyon. Both flights would beat the Guidos by a number of hours. Cue Guido rage!
For some reason, they just went nuts.
As the flights are last minute, the Guidos decide that if they simply hold up the customs and immigration line, which is rude but not illegal, then everyone will miss their flights. In a Parisian or Roman airport, might have worked. In a Tunisian airport where the guards have M16s, these are the ingredients for one of the most infamous events in race history. Long story short, their shenanigans don't work. It just ends up with animosity and accusations.
They go so far as to step in front of Nancy and actually physically prevent her from moving.
That is when karma turns on its head again. Frank and Margarita end up stranded overnight in Geneva, dropping them to last place. Kevin, Rob, and Nancy end up stuck in Lyon and instead take a train to Rome. Meanwhile, Lenny and Karen decided to stay put and wait it out since it's a controlled strike. Once the strike is over, they get a direct flight to Rome and end up in first place. Unfortunately, after picking up a clue from the Colosseum's Vespa, the detour is closed for the night. In this detour, teams are given partial photographs of statues in Rome. The foot is well known, while the hoof might be harder to decipher. The benefit is the taxis have been hired to wait near the hoof for teams to pick up. Morning arrives and all teams congregate at the hoof, where they've agreed to let bygones be bygones, right?
Don't even think of saying good morning.
Or not.
They're smart, so stay over there.
Frank and Karen are filled in on the madness of the Guidos.
We got a new name for them, Siegfried and Roy.
Or, what? Wait a minute. The foot statue opens a whole half hour earlier. Who cares if there's no taxis? Lenny and Karen stumble upon this gem of genius and rocket up to first place, followed by a gaggle of hoof chasers. They gotta wait for this gate thing to get all the way down. Hey! I see you, Emily! Stay! Sit! Okay, it's open. Let's run! Let's run! Jeez, that's a lot of stairs. Next up is a train, which renders the taxi situation useless. All teams get on the same train, but Lenny and Karen are held up by production and miss the train. A time credit will rectify this. In Modena, teams discover that not a lot of taxis inhabit this lonely city. In fact, there's 2 in total. Nancy and Emily are left stranded briefly until Kevin can send theirs back. At a factory for Italian sports cars, it's time for a roadblock. Oh boy! It's time for some high-speed, high-octane action!
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
No, the fancy sport car is what the non-participant rides in. The one performing the roadblock must follow an Italian language map and drive in this little Hot Wheels toy.
I'm driving a Swatch watch. I can ride my bike faster than this.
One by one, teams show up and complete the roadblock. Frank and the Guidos are on top, though both receive a penalty for getting off the train at the wrong stop. It barely affects them.
That would be my wife jumping up and down like that.
Brennan, Drew, and Nancy aren't far behind, despite what obstacles lie in their way.
Speak English?
No.
No? Okay.
Apparently Rob knows this woman.
This is Sarah, this is Brennan. Hi.
Even with their time credit, Karen is still the last to make it to the pit stop. However, it's their lucky day as it's the first non-elimination leg. In this season, there's not even a penalty waiting for them. Now the crazy day is over, and it's a good time to reflect on the leg we've just experienced.
I am embarrassed to be associated with that incident at the airport yesterday.
Or maybe not. Leg 6 in Italy comes to a close.